Hi there, welcome in my house. It's based in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. It's my own home where I compose, where I work, where I create, where I live. And I've nicknamed it the Maison Mélodie, the House of Melody. That is because I compose here, for years on end already. Except with the pandemic, we were supposed to stay in like all of us. I, of course, was always used to it, but to not be able to go out of the house sort of creates a special relationship with that same house, doesn't it? What it does is that it shows you every sound it has when you're in here for 24/7. Then you hear its little cracks, its little noises, you hear the neighbors, everything next to your own sounds, like, taking a shower or doing a bit of composition. So I decided to make a kind of a self-quarantine based piano piece, and that evolved into 10 piano pieces. After all, there was time enough, wasn't there, for us? So with these 10 pieces, I thought I'll call it Maison Mélodie because it's what a composer does. He doesn't see people, he isolates himself, regardless of any pandemic anyway. So you don't see much people, you don't speak to them, or perhaps virtually you do. And that's where the concept of the House of Melody album came from. Now, I started recording the piano right here where I am now. And when I did that, I already thought that'd be strange to be hearing it downstairs. This is on the first floor, on the second, sorry. And on the ground floor, etc. What would the listener hear then? And with that in mind, I started toying around with the idea of making music with already a kind of cinematic idea in the background. When I Googled, like we all do as well, I realized that the current technology for surround sound, Dolby Atmos it's called, not only enables you to do such a thing on my side, on the recording side, but also on your side. Namely, in the old days, you need to have a very costly stereo setup, well, surround setup in your own home, thousands of pounds or euros. Nowadays, with the new Dolby Atmos technology, you can actually listen to it with a simple headphone. And depending on where you go, most mainstream streaming platforms, we all know who they are, they offer that. So whilst you, the listener, are walking around perhaps at the train station in a big city, you can listen at the same time to all kinds of sounds around your head through those headphones and not having to listen to what's actually going on there on the platform or something. So I decided to not only do a mix down, where you balance all your music tracks into one in Dolby Atmos, but to actually record in Dolby Atmos. So I went to another studio than my own, a professional recording studio where we, I played piano, and there were not only two microphones like the two over here for a normal stereo recording, but we actually had microphones placed everywhere, on the sides, upstairs, downstairs, underneath the piano, in the rear, left and right, front, left and right, central. And that way we recorded the piano very spaciously, which is normally a technique only done for film scoring or something like that. So I decided to add more instruments to it with using that same method. So like a string section and a bit of sound design. And what we did was we recorded those already with in mind that it should be for multiple speakers to be reproducing them. So I was thinking how to write a string arrangement which would sound good if it travels in reproduction, sorry, from left to right and from front to end above your head. What would happen if you make arrangements that make that even more of an experience, more of a sensation? And that's how I started making those arrangements in the studio. So when I came back home, I again went to our great friend called Google and sort of was interested in technology, but also conceptually, idea-wise, what is actually that relationship between the composer and his home? And I found a book, and the book was called Composers and Their Homes. And then I realized most of us, I mean hundreds of years on end by now, from the greats to the anonymous, we all compose our music at the piano, if it's that kind of music, in our own house, in our own room. And when I flicked through that book, I saw those different houses and how they were almost saying to me, telling me, those photographs, those pictures of the other composers, their homes, yeah, that kind of house that sort of fits what he actually made in his music compositions. That makes sense to me. Rural or more city-like, etc. So I decided to make a kind of a combination between my music and the sounds I hear as a composer when I'm relaxing or taking a meal or something, and to mix those so that I could invite a listener, you, on your headphone to see and hear, most of all, and therefore experience what a composer experiences whilst creating or relaxing in his own environment. So that, in other words, it's not something traditionally what creators do is they make something and then they hand it over to the listener and they can do whatever they want with it. This time around I thought it was different, interesting to be different, and invite listeners to come and experience in 40 minutes in a sort of a sonic journey, which is kind of a cross between, you know, a music album, traditional one, and an old radio play, but yet in the modern incarnation, and then offer that to you so that in 40 minutes you can hear what I hear 24 hours in this place. And that was the idea of Maison Melody, AM, PM, 24 hours in a day of my creational life, domestical life, for you to experience in 40 minutes. So I hope you will take the plunge if you're interested in not only music, but also in spoken word or in radio drama or podcasts. Then this is my effort to merge those genres in one and make you feel like having a different experience than your average one. So you're cordially invited over here to experience with me virtually through your headphones what I hear and what I decided to do to create music with. So I hope you'll be interested in this kind of idea. It's kind of a new concept, and what I believe is that this could well be, you know, a new normal genre for the next years to come. A kind of cinema for the ears. Thanks.